This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Gabriel Valley today, and we're joined by Ed Chau. He is a member of the California State Assembly, and I know, sir, this past year you have been focused on several pieces of legislation dealing with housing. In California, one could argue, are in a housing crisis, incredibly expensive to either buy a home, rent a home. I want to focus on a couple of bills. One is known as AB 1335. This bill, authored by Speaker Atkins, would provide a permanent source of funding for affordable housing by providing a fee on the recording of certain real estate documents. The bill, supported by the California Association of Realtors. What can you tell us about it?
Well, the bill, AB 1335, if passed, would have brought in another $500 million or so for affordable housing. As you stated, when it comes to affordable housing, we do have a crisis in California in that we lack the affordable housing. Now, with the elimination of the RDA, the Redevelopment Agency, and also the bond money being dried up, we need a permanent source of funding for affordable housing.
And let's talk about the redevelopment piece of this, because it is critical to understand that under the prior redevelopment regime, the tax increment that was brought over to the redevelopment agencies, a portion of that had to go to affordable housing. Under the law, that's gone.
Exactly right.
Completely gone.
That money would have been about $1 billion a year.
Right.
Now it's completely gone, like you stated.
So you basically gave away the ending, which is fine. AB 1335 would have provided about $500 million. It did not pass.
Correct. It did not pass.
What happened, sir? And I ask you that because the fact that the bill was able to get the support of the California Association of Realtors, that's a huge development. I would have thought it would pass with that support, but it didn't go.
That's right. We did not have the sufficient votes to get it passed. The bill required 2/3 votes from the Assembly.
Because it's a tax.
Because of the tax issue.
Or a fee.
A fee, you know, whatever you call it. But we did not have that many votes, essentially.
Were you surprised, given that the realtors were behind it, the realtors who tend to fall on the right side of the ledger?
I understand that the speaker who carried this bill worked very hard, and she tried to convince and talk to a lot of stakeholders, including the realtors. Now, finally, the realtors came on board, but yet the votes weren't there.
What about? So I believe the bill is in abeyance. Is it a 2-year bill now?
The bill has been made into a 2-year bill. Correct.
So what about this coming year? Do you think this bill has legs? New speaker? Who knows?
Well, anything is possible. And I'm hopeful that the bill will come back alive, I think.
I want to ask you also about AB 35. This was a signature piece of legislation for Speaker Tony Atkins, would have provided $100 million a year for affordable housing through public-private partnerships. I gave away the ending. It would have provided. Why am I talking in the past tense? What happened?
Because the bill was vetoed by the governor.
A significant surprise, I think it's fair to say. It passed both houses of the legislature. What happened?
Well, like you said, the bill passed both houses, in fact, with a number of yes votes. In fact, I don't remember seeing any no votes on that.
I think it was unanimous.
Unanimous.
Including Republicans.
Absolutely.
And yet the governor turned around and said no. What happened? Do you know? Do we have a sense as to why? I forgot what his veto message said. I think it was pretty short.
I don't recall exactly what he said, but essentially I think he said that, you know, we don't need as much tax credit at this point, I guess. And you know, like you said, I think the $100 million would have leveraged even more federal dollars to come in, but unfortunately it didn't make it.
So where do the supporters of affordable housing and increased funding for it go from here? Because look, when redevelopment was eliminated, there was always discussion about we got to somehow bring back the affordable housing piece. For years I've heard that. We're going to bring back at least the affordable housing piece. Here, finally, after 3-4 years, that was brought back. And the Democratic governor vetoed a bill passed unanimously.
Well, hopefully we'll try it again next year, and hopefully he will have a change of heart. When it comes to affordable housing, there are several approaches to addressing that issue. First of all, funding, as we mentioned. Number two, we can also look at the regulatory scheme to see if there's a way we could eliminate or at least alleviate some of the barriers. For example, density bonus is one of them.
Well, let's talk about density bonus, sir, because while there were two bills that didn't make it, one did, and it was called AB 744. It was written by the man in front of me, Ed Chau, and that bill got signed.
That's correct.
So touche. That's all I have to say. Tell us about AB 744.
Well, one of the things that we can do to encourage more affordable housing construction is to encourage developers to develop, for example.
Right.
And, it's a supply-demand kind of situation. So, and one of the ways that we can incentivize developers to build more affordable housing units is to give them parking requirement flexibility, for example.
And explain that so our viewers understand what the requirement is and how this bill gave some latitude to the developers.
Absolutely. Some viewers may or may not know about this, but it costs a lot of money to build a parking space.
Oh, yeah.
For above ground parking space, it costs $25,000.
A spot.
A spot.
And it's just empty land, essentially.
That's right.
It's not, you can't dual use a parking lot, essentially.
That's right. And for underground parking, that's even more, $35,000. So oftentimes these projects are built with unused parking spaces. And that money could have been used for actually unit building.
And the reason you say that is because there are certain, I guess, formulas. If you have this many units, you need this many parking spots. But in densely populated areas where there's a tremendous use of public transportation, buses, bikes, subways, whatever it is, you may not need as many units as the law had required. So what your bill AB 744 did was?
Well, essentially, that is the morale of the story, and that is for 100% affordable housing units that's being built by the developer.
Right.
If it's near transit, for example, if it's within 1/2 mile of the major transit, or if the unit serves special needs folks.
Right. Seniors
and folks with special needs, then that parking requirement is adjusted a little bit or lower for the development.
Okay, so how did your bill make it, whereas AB 35 didn't make it, 1335 didn't make it, other than your genius? What happened? But you know what I'm saying. Why did this bill survive?
I think the fact was that we worked with a lot of the stakeholders, and we received a lot of support from the housing community.
Right.
And they're in for more affordable units being built. And we also try to work with the cities as well. Now, the bill allows the cities to, let's say, substantiate a higher parking threshold if they have a parking study.
So there's flexibility.
There is flexibility on both sides.
So what are your goals for 2016 on the affordable housing front, if at all?
Right.
What do you hope to see in 2016?
I hope to see more affordable housing units being built. As one of the surveys indicated, we need 130,000 units being built every year to meet the needs out there for the state of California. So we need to work on all fronts, the funding part and also the regulatory scheme part.
But I'm wondering, look, we know that the state budget is flush with cash. The governor has implemented some very conservative budget estimates, so we're constantly beating estimates every month. And so we don't need to borrow money to even deal with our cash flow. First time in, I don't know, almost 2 decades. So can we use, I don't know if I want to call it a surplus because that may be overstating it, but can we use some of these funds that are coming in for the benefit of the affordable housing crisis?
Well, for the year 2016, we will be getting some money, first of all, from the federal government through the Housing Trust Fund.
Right.
And that's about $30 to $40 million. Now, in addition to that, we are going to try to tap into the cap and trade money pot.
Yes, and that's part of, I know that there's some of that money is going to high-speed rail, but some goes to affordable housing.
That's right.
You'll come back?
Absolutely.
His name is Ed Chau. He is a member of the California State Assembly representing significant portions of the beautiful San Gabriel Valley. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Charter Local Edition.